What's up, sports bettors? So I've been giving out a lot of plays on Underdog Fantasy on Twitter as well as on YouTube, and I have a lot more player props for you. And again, what we can do is we can first just recap how does this platform work, right? How does Underdog Fantasy work? And essentially, this platform, they post tens of thousands of odds, right? Or not odds, lines you can bet on. So you have NHL, you have NBA, you have NFL, tons of different player prop lines. And what you can do is any three picks you select, what you're going to notice is you're going to be betting one to win six. So this platform essentially just gives you three leg parlays at plus 500 odds. So you're betting one to win six, five in profit, plus your $1 stake back. Betting one to win five in profit is just plus 500 odds. So we've gone through the math, kind of a ton of times before, but what this means is this platform for three pick entries and five pick entries as well, they're charging minus 122 juice. So we want to look for value at minus 122 juice. So I'll give you an example of a few of the plays that I went with. In the first are early NHL lines. So what we can do is we can find here, this is an example of one of the first ones. Right? So this is just a screen. It's called the OddsJam screen. And what I do is I quickly compare the lines between Underdog and the sports books, and I look for discrepancies. So here what you're going to notice is Barzal, his shots on goal line is over under 2 on Underdog Fantasy. Now on the sports books, it's over under 2.5. Granted, the sports books have the under slightly juiced around minus 140, but still being able to get the over 2, where we're pushing, if he has exactly 2 shots on goal, anyone who bets this on a sportsbook is losing, is enough value to dabble with, right? This play is positive EV. So this is the first pick I went with. We have Barzal over 2 shots on goal, right? All the sportsbooks have the line at 2.5. Again, just kind of quickly scanning the screen for discrepancies. And typically, in cases like this, you can see right here, right? Kevin LeBlanc, the over is heavily juiced, right? Minus 200, minus 190. So I'm not playing under 2 just because Underdog Fantasy's half a goal higher, because all of the sportsbooks have the over heavily juiced. What you ideally want to find are these spots, like on Barzal, right, where the distribution is very low, so over under 2, 1.5 shots on goal, and there's not too much juice in either direction on the sports books. So this is the first play I went with. Okay? Now, the next play I ended up going with are just from the EV tool. So OddsJam, has a bunch of different tools. It's free to browse odds on OddsJam. So if you go to any NFL game, whatever game you want to look at, whatever market you want to look at, OddsJam has millions of odds updating in real time. You can browse for free. The core of sports betting is finding value. So you need to be price comparing ruthlessly between sportsbooks. You need to be comparing sportsbook lines. You're like an investor. You're looking for value. You're looking for an edge. And if you're placing bets, at plus 240 on my bookie on the Rams, when there's other sportsbooks offering plus 270 in your location, you're screwed because you're getting ripped off, right? So you always have to be looking for value as a sharp bettor. So what the EV tool does is it's different than the screen, right? The whole point of the screen is to be able to look at one market. So in this case, NHL player shots on goal, but you can look at any market across every sportsbook posting odds very quickly. So again, what I do is I just really scan the screen and I look for big discrepancies. So here it's like Mason Marchment, again, his over-under shots on goal is 2 on Underdog. All the sportsbooks are at 2.5. But again, not super interested in playing it because the under 2.5 is heavily juiced. So being able to get over 2 doesn't seem particularly great. And again, if I don't have time to make YouTube videos, a lot of these plays I give out on Twitter, so you can follow me there. There's a link in the description. But yeah, it's basically just ruthlessly comparing the sportsbook lines to Underdog Fantasy and trying to find these spots. Hey, maybe Blake Wheeler over 2, similar to Barzil, is a play you want to go with. Now, another strategy is just using the EV tool. So what the positive EV tool does is pretty beautiful and very simple, right? The entire point of OddsJam is making data actionable. You're not going to be able to manually scan Underdog Fantasy, the tens of thousands of odds on this site, pull up FanDuel, compare all the lines on Underdog to FanDuel, and then to Caesars, and look for value. It takes way too much time, right? So it also means you'll be too slow. This market's always moving. You got to be fast. Sharp bettors are using software to try to find great bets. If you're just like scanning around manually, first of all, it takes a ton of time. Second of all, the market's moving. It's like trying to be a day trader without a Bloomberg terminal. It's just not going to happen. You need software so you can stay up to date with where the market is. And again, on OddsJam, it's free to browse odds. So like even just browsing odds following the market is critical, right? So this EV tool is very simple. It literally just scans the market and shows you where value is. So here I'm just filtering for Underdog Fantasy because it's a video on Underdog Fantasy. And you can see here, right, it's like, okay, the first play is Metcalf under 5.5 receptions, minus 122 on Underdog in a 3-pick or a 5-pick entry. And again, on Underdog, the implied odds are only minus 122 for 3 and 5-pick entries. So you'll notice I'm never playing 2-pick entries for the most part or 4-pick entries. So here, DK Metcalf, right, we're getting him under 5.5 receptions at minus 122 implied odds on Underdog. FanDuel has this minus 146, DraftKings minus 135, Caesars minus 166. So the big 3 U.S. sportsbooks are all, minus 135 to minus 166. Bet Online, a very sharp offshore sportsbook, has this minus 167. Pinnacle, sharpest bookmaker in the world, they have this minus 147. So we look at all the data across the market. You treat every sportsbook as an independent data point of where the line should be set, and you look for value. And granted, getting minus 137 doesn't really seem great for Metcalf, so I wouldn't play this in a 2-pick entry, right? Why would I want to play it in a 2-pick entry if I could bet it minus 135 on DraftKings, right? Why would I play this minus 137 on Underdog, so in a 2-pick entry, if I can get minus 135 on DraftKings? It doesn't make sense. But looking across the market, treating every book as an independent data point of where should the line be set. We know Bet Online and Pinnacle are 2 very sharp offshore sports books. The OddsJam column is just Pinnacle, by the way. It becomes very clear that we're getting great value at minus 122 on Underdog. So this is a play I locked in. DK Metcalf, under 5.5 receptions, right? And then also I took this Hillard play, over 1.5. So a lot of early plays, some are from the screen. All of the hockey ones I found on the screen. So you can see here, we have Larkin, Hillard, Saquon. So these were EV plays, the football one. We just saw that Hillard one. Here you can see we have an NHL play. Here you can see we have some more, and then here's the Barzil play. So again, just using the tools on OddsJam to find value. A lot of times there's pretty good value in sportsbooks first release odds, especially in player shots on goal. So I love using the screen to just kind of very quickly browse odds between books, try to pick up some value where I can, make some money. And again, feel free to follow me on Twitter while I give out all my plays as well if I don't have time to make a YouTube video, and let's make some money.